Hi, welcome to our North American Division STEM cohort with the Marzano topic on Earth history. My name is Betty Nugent, and I will be guiding you through this phase today. I actually will be using Nearpod for most of this, and I provided you with the teacher Nearpod link because I'm assuming that you will be using much of this with your class. The Nearpod link that's there when you log into the Nearpod link, feel free to change whatever you like, name it for yourself so that you can possibly use any and all of the material that's in here for your classroom. This particular lesson was designed to be taught for science, social studies, and Bible. Much of the material that is within this unit, within this lesson, came from the Bible Encounter series for 5th grade, the science textbook for 4th grade, and the social studies textbooks, both for grades 4 and 5, and a little bit of 6. You adapt it for what you'd like to adapt it for in your classroom. So let's get on with it. Now, the Bible Encounter unit for 5th grade, 5.1, actually would encourage you to have a student in front of your class slowly be dressed up as an archaeologist. But they encourage you not to refer to the child as an archaeologist. They encourage you to bring tools, have the child have tools in their vest pocket, picks, knives, different things, and see if you can solicit from the students the answers to the question, what's my job? The students will have a lot of fun with it. After you've opened the bag of tools and pulled it out and have led a discussion engaging the students in possibly what might be the job of this child, then you would explain to the children, help the children to understand that yes, the student was dressed as an archaeologist and that an archaeologist digs up the past. There's a whole lot more to go with this lesson for the Bible Encounter unit. You're encouraged to take as much or as little from it as necessary, as it will probably be a part of a whole unit that you are doing with your class. So when we think about digging up history, what we will cover in this unit is, and there's a lesson plan that will go along with it. We will look at fantastic fossils, that's actually making fossils. We'll think about some of the vocabulary associated with it. We'll talk about fossil formation, fossil types, fossils and artifacts, what archaeologists do, and then digging up God's Word. Again, for you as the teacher, you decide just how much of this you want to use, but you will have this presentation to edit, play around with. So then the essential question, what are fossils and what can they teach us about Earth's past? So as you are looking at the essential question with your students, you also want to help them to understand what it is they'll be able to do at the end of the lesson. They'll be able to ask and answer questions to demonstrate understanding of the text, referring explicitly to the text. And of course, this is language arts, which is another one of those I forgot to tell you. In science, they'll be able to explain what fossils are and how they provide evidence of the Earth's past. They'll be able to apply what they've learned by considering why it's important to learn about how the Earth has changed through its history. As you're looking at these objectives, you might be asking yourself, but how is this STEM? Well, my question to you is, how is this not STEM? Now, this is also in the lesson plan that you will be able to access through the Google Drive, but the PDF shows you how to make fantastic fossils. You also will be able to look at the video that will be attached to this that you can watch as much as you want or as little as you want. Here are the supplies that are needed. I encourage you, as it said on the video, for you to have as many supplies, as have supplies for as many students as possible. When I purchase materials, I always purchase them in bulk so I can have enough for all of my class. And I usually get them from the dollar store, from Family Dollar, or from Amazon. Now you can stop and watch the video of how to make fantastic fossils. Now you can take these slides and put them on a PowerPoint, or you can use them as they are on Nearpod or make changes to them. One of the great things about Nearpod that we found while our students were learning at home during COVID-19 was the collaboration board was very good when you had a blended classroom, because students at home were able to collaborate with students that were in school, and you could actually control the collaboration. And so for this board, you would actually encourage the students to, you could decide whether or not you wanted to be able to approve what the students write, or just allow them to add it on themselves. Since we're not actually going to do this, then I'm going to just keep going. But this is how you would access prior knowledge. You would ask what you already know about fossils and list as many ideas as you can. You play around with it and you'll see what happens. And then after the students would put in what they can learn, what they already know about fossils, trying to figure out their prior knowledge, then you can discuss it with the entire class. That's the fun part. Another thing about Nearpod that I like, or you can do this with anything actually, is that you can do this, take do the 3D, the critical lens. And we're going to actually do that now. You can give the students access to it. And once they have the code, they can actually do it themselves. And so you go into it, they actually will go into the 3D lens, and they will take the field trip. And you tell them as they're taking the field trip in advance, of course, what you want them to find. What do you think the large shape in the rock is? How old do you think the large shape is? How do you think it got there? Again, the particular lesson that we are looking at is Earth history. Okay, and this is definitely a field trip that the students would not be able to take, especially during COVID-19. But if they lived in Florida or lived in South Carolina, they would not be able to take this trip to the Rocky Mountains in Canada. So let's take the field trip together. So you would have the students tell them, be very careful as you're climbing the mountain, and tell me when you have found the shape. As they're traveling through, tell them to make sure, be careful as you run into other people as we're walking through the mountain. And then once they found the shape, have them analyze the shape, maybe in their notebook. You want them to maybe draw the shape, or maybe think, well, why do you think that person is there? What are they doing? What does that shape look like? And how long do you think it's been there? All types of questions that scientists might answer as they're exploring something that they haven't seen before. You can allow the students to enter into this field trip on their own, or you can do it with them straight by yourself or using this script. And then again, we could use the collaboration board to ask the students, include on this collaboration board, what do you think the shape in the rock is? How did it get there? Anything else that you put down while you were exploring, while we were on the field trip, add it to the collaboration board. And of course, after they added to the collaboration board, we would have a discussion. And here's the answer. It's called a Fernie ammonite. And you go into a discussion of the Fernie ammonite, and you explain to them that it's a carnivorous cephalopod within the family that lived and died in a shallow sea in Fernie in British Columbia, Canada. And then you go through how it might have gotten there, and this could lead into a whole nother discussion of how long you think it's been there, and then here's a recreation of what it may have looked like. And now we will explore what fossils are and how they are formed. Again, use as much or as little of this as you want. Many of these notes came straight from the vocab that were found in the 4th grade textbook on fossils, and the pictures were found elsewhere. So here's the slide. You tell them the vocabulary here, what a fossil is, talk about it being preserved, and you can talk to them about what the definition of preserved means, sediment, what it looks like, what's the definition, and then fossil record. You can talk to them about Adventist institutions such as Southwestern University and Southern Adventist University that actually have archaeological digs where they go and they find things like this. And talk about the tools that we introduced at the very beginning with the student who was dressed as an archaeologist. Then you just go through all of the vocab. You can add or take away what you don't want, add even more if you like, and you can get the pictures from wherever you'd like. And after we've had some time to spend with that, you would then have the students match the vocabulary. The pairs here. And as you can see, they came straight from the slides that we have. Then we continue with having the students collaborate and discuss with the Think, Pair, Share. With the partner, have them select one of the questions to answer. Then you tell the students that we're going to come back together to discuss each of these as a class. Make sure to use evidence from the textbook in your answer, or you can tell them to use evidence from the slideshow that we've done in their answers. And then you explain what these codes are. What parts of an organism are usually found in fossils? This is a mild question. And then what are the different ways that fossils are formed? That's a medium one. And why is the fossil record important? That's a spicy question. So you want to tell them again with the partner, select one of the questions to answer, and then have them discuss it, and then we'll come back together. And next, you can spend as much as up to 10 minutes helping the students to explain what fossils are and how they are created. Now, at the point where you use this type of a slide, you might then want to come back to the fantastic fossil that you made in class. Or you might want to find something that was found when you went to the beach, or something that was found when you went on a dig yourself, or something that you may even have purchased somewhere, because sometimes they have these little things that are at the bookstore or at a toy shop or Amazon or wherever. But just compare them to what they already have talked about. And then the question that you ask them, which fossil is which? You'll have the students label the mold, cast, and amber fossils correctly. Let me click on it, make it a little bit bigger, and you want them to label which one is it. Is it a mold? Is it a cast? Or is it an amber? You might need to go back and review some of the things that you talked to the students about, the mold, a cast, or an amber. And then again, we collaborate more. This is not a one-day lesson, as you can see, but it will cover quite a few things in this particular lesson or unit. You ask them then, what kind of things do you think fossils can tell us about the history of the earth? And you share those. And then we want to ask another question. Why is it important to learn about how the earth and its organisms and environments have changed over time? Again, you can give them notes to clarify, or you can just clarify right here on the collaboration board with them as they are sharing. Then you have the students explain the difference between a fossil and an artifact. And this particular slide is one we haven't looked at yet because they're simply writing it out. This particular picture is a student from Southern who actually went on a dig in Israel in 2015. And this video then would be one that you might want to share with the students. I will pause for a minute and let's see if we can get it to play.
everybody, it's Keith.
And Amanda, and we're here with Nat Geo Kids to dig into something really fun, archaeology. Archaeology is the study of the past by looking at the things left behind by the people who lived before us.
The scientists who study archaeology are called archaeologists, and they're kind of like detectives. The clues they find help us to understand the way people used to live.
That can be anything, including buildings, artwork, tools, bones, weapons, even garbage.
That might sound like digging for buried treasure, but the real treasure is in how the things we find tell a story about the way people used to live.
Does that include fossils and dinosaur bones?
Nope. Even though archaeologists sometimes find fossils, what they really focus on are people and the things they leave behind.
A lot of what we know about the people who lived before us was first discovered by archaeologists.
I think I'm ready to discover more about archaeology. Shall we dig in?
So you can use as much or as little of that as you want, and there's so many others that are available on YouTube or on the National Geographic Kids website. Then you ask students, you compare different pictures, or if you actually have the artifacts themselves, you can show them. If you have the fossils themselves, you can have the students there analyze and say, yes, this was an artifact because, this is a fossil because, make sure they know the difference between the two. And then on this collaboration board, you ask the students, what do archaeologists do and how can this be related to studying the Bible? So now we go back to our encounter unit. And in our encounter unit, I love this particular unit because what this unit does, the encounter unit does, is it's number 5.1, is that it encourages you to actually have a dig. And I've witnessed teachers who have done this, and it's so much fun for the kids because I haven't actually had the opportunity to do it myself. But the kids have so much fun with it. It is a little bit of work for the teacher in advance. You have to hide things, and the kids go on the dig and try to find it using their little tools and stuff like that. And yes, I've actually seen teachers who actually did this one during COVID. So other extensions, in addition to the Bible Encounter unit, where I don't know if I mentioned, one of the things that this particular teacher, and I think it's a part of the unit itself, while they were doing that particular unit, the teacher had them digging up different Bible verses and reading the Bible verses and talking about why it was so important. Just comparing the Bible to archaeology and how God wants us to dig into His Word. So where did I get most of mine for science? Of course, I used the By Design textbook. There's the social studies textbooks, different ones that you have for the different grade levels. And as I've mentioned, Bible Encounters already. But the standards covered ELA, it covered science, it covered social studies. And the multi-grade teachers, this is something that is difficult to teach multi-grade. And my hat goes off to you for those of you who are teaching multi-grade. But this is definitely designed to be a multi-grade unit. Now, if you'd like, you can actually do this for math as well. And when I first started designing this, looking at this unit, I was looking at this just as social studies and science. But there's so much out there that you could change it, as we found out with Bible and with everything else. But I actually found a unit, a PBL unit on pblworks.org that would work as well. So then we would have science as well as social studies and Bible. And now here is one called Shrinking Our Footprint. And if you click on it, you'll be able to look through this particular unit of encouraging the students to take care of their homes, take care of the water, because this is one of the things that God wants us to do. Thank you so much for joining us as